Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
You've heard Roberta Hladek before, and she, of course, is someone who talks about energy. And you know, we've had wonderful talks with Stephen Lewis, who wrote the book, and I'm really so happy to talk to her today, especially since a lot of people, I haven't really been coming to the show, the radio show, for a while, because I've been taking care of my husband, who suffered after a major operation, then suffered a stroke. And so I was anxious, actually, to talk to Roberta, to talk about what she may even know that's out there in energy land, I call it energy land, that we can focus in to help him get through this. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
You're thinking.
Yeah, I was just going, wow, that's so pretty. It sounds so good to me. I like energy land.
I know you do. I know you like energy. And I'm sure that you've been in this position. I'm sure you've known people who've needed extra help.
Mm-hmm. And it's so very important when someone is going through something like your husband is, to have someone there that they trust and that they know and that they love. And your energy transfers to him, if you hold his hand, you're just being there in the room, he sees you. I mean, it's been proven that a lot of times people that have been in accidents or have had some kind of health issue and have been in a coma, that to have someone holding their hand and talking to them and telling them about times that they had with them and reminding them of all the people in their lives, kind of giving them a background so that they can recall their memory. They have come out of comas a lot of times. So I know that energy transfers, and energy is very strong and it's very powerful, and we have the power to help each other and to heal ourselves. So what you're doing is pretty remarkable.
It's funny, I was trying to tell him about all the places we've been and all the things we've done, and sometimes he'll speak, and sometimes he has to think about it, and we'll talk, and then maybe I won't understand it. But we used to, when we'd walk, if it started raining, we'd start singing in the rain. Singing in the rain, So I asked him, I reminded him about, what do you think about that? And he looked at me and he said, no. And then the other day, the therapists were trying to get him to count. So we were going 1, 2, 3, 4, and out of nowhere he said, 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate?
Aww.
Isn't that? This is so strange.
It's our mind is a powerful thing, and it's a funny thing. And so when we have these issues and you've had a stroke where part of you is, part of the brain has lost a little bit and you're trying to recall that, it's funny how different things come up and different ideas or memories. It's kind of interesting. But it sounds like he's doing very, very well.
Well, I guess it's been now, I don't know, it's been a month or something, and we're getting some experts in, and we're going to work on everything we can. And I just I have lots of hope and there's lots of promise, and we're going to give them everything we can. So for people out there who are listening, of course, we have a new year. This is the first time I'm talking to you in 2017, right?
Yeah. And
what do you think about 2017? Are you hopeful, or what is in your mind?
Oh, I'm very hopeful. I always look at a new year. Well, we've had a doozy of a 2016 for me, as well as a lot of people that I've known. But so I think I always look at a new year, like on New Year's Eve, a lot of people make resolutions. And for some reason, the word resolution, I guess it doesn't resonate with me in a positive way. It feels like a negative. I feel like it's a resolution. Everybody talks about resolutions being broken. So I go with goals. I try to set goals for myself for the upcoming year instead of a resolution. So New Year's Eve is kind of an interesting time for me. I don't really care for it myself, but the party aspect of it, I'm not really a party person. So usually New Year's Day, I sit with myself for a few minutes and I try and write down my goals for the coming year. And whether it's, exercise more, whether it's, get myself out and travel a little bit, maybe it's working with animals, whatever you have in your mind as your goal, I write those down. And I really can see myself making those goals and make them. When we write down the goals, we want to write down something that we can attain. So you don't want to say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds by,
right.
next December, because it's probably not going to happen,
Exactly.
and you're setting yourself up for failure. But
right.
that's what a lot of people do. So if you say, I'm going to walk a little bit more, or I'm going to, instead of parking right by the front door of the grocery store, I'm going to park a few spaces back and walk in, give myself that extra little exercise there. And you'd be surprised. Just those little things will make a difference in, one, how we feel, how our outlook on life is, and also you might drop a couple of pounds and you won't even know it. It'll just be something that gets you moving again, and it's good for your body to keep it moving. So that's kind of what I do, and that's what I'm thinking for 2017. I'm very hopeful that things will be better for all of us and that we'll have a happier year. Maybe some out there had a great year, but some of us maybe had a little bit more difficulties in our year. So this year, I think it's going to be a better year for all of us. I really do. I feel hopeful.
Well, I think the thing that if people would just go outside at night and see the stars and when the moon is up, and just think that how many constellations and how many other places are out there. I mean, I've had a lot of time now to read stuff and to see programs, and I just have not. I can't believe all the galaxies out there. And I mean, it's like we think we're just this major thing out there. No, we're not. We're nothing.
We aren't. We're just this little tiny thing. And when you look up in the sky, that's true. The other night I was driving back I like to go out to Palm Springs and Palm Desert out that way. And there's a back way that sometimes I go instead of taking the freeway if I'm with someone. So me and my other half were driving back, and we were looking out at the sky as we were driving, and the moon was shining, so you could see some of the mountains. But the stars were brilliant, and they came all the way down to the top of the mountains, and it was just exquisite. It was just beautiful, and we were thinking the same thing. I wonder what's out there. I wonder if there's other people or other places. Will we ever be able to exist on another planet?
Yeah, I mean, there are some great pictures of what is out there. Now they have these giant telescopes and so much. So there are things that are, we don't really talk about them during the day. We're so busy watching TV and looking at these things that are a little bit, not lit, but very difficult to deal with, let's say. And yet we shouldn't be doing that. I think in fact, someone just said to me, I am not watching social media anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to give it all up. I'm going to go back to just living a good life. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's because how many people that use Facebook and some of these other Twitters, and I don't know, I don't tweet and all that, but I do use Facebook to keep in touch basically with my family. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and they're all having babies, and I don't get to see them all, so kind of I get to see pictures and what have you. But I do know a lot of people that base their net worth and their self-worth and the whole thing on how many hits they get on Facebook. And I think, gosh, and it's so freeing when I'm somewhere where my phone doesn't work. I think, oh, thank God I don't have to look at it. Because I look back at, maybe even like 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, not all of us had a phone, and we weren't driving around tweeting and Facebooking and all this stuff. And I don't know about you, but it seems to me that we're all getting so into this, tweeting and Facebook and texting and all this stuff that we don't interact with each other anymore. And I think that's something that's an energy that we need as human beings. We need to have that interaction with another person. So when I go into grocery stores, I try to look at the checker and say, hey, how are you doing today? And one checker told me, she goes, nobody's asked me that all day today. And I was like, really? She said, no. And I thought, wow, those were we used to always do that.
Of course. No, that's true. And I see people who do get on Facebook, and they're talking to me on Facebook, and I always say, why are they doing that? Why don't they call me? Or why don't they just email me something? Why do we have to do this on Facebook?
Yeah. And then a lot of people do vent a lot on there, too, and they think it's, I got tired of a lot of the negativity that I was seeing, and I've kind of backed off it. I just you can unfollow people or however. I don't know all these things. I'm really not very good at it. So I just kind of look at just my family. I just have my family there that I deal with now, because I just couldn't handle every time I looked at it where somebody was saying some horrible thing about someone, or I don't know. It just seemed like it wasn't a positive thing anymore. And I just choose I'm like your friend. I'm going to change everything and be positive this year. I'm putting all that stuff aside and, just going to live my life and look at what's out there and how beautiful things are, and look at the small things, the little things in life, our health, having our other half.
Well, let's talk about, of course, your whole field of work is in energy. Mm-hmm. And we all know, if you deal in negative energy, you're going to have negative results.
Absolutely.
So maybe you ought to talk a little bit about what's happening with your, and I don't know, do we call it a company? Or I don't know exactly what we call the Church of Consciousness, but why don't you tell us what's happening there and what you're discovering for people who don't even know what you do?
Well, what I do is I'm trying to find energy within a person that maybe is making things difficult for them. And a lot of times, well, all the time, a person will contact us and say, this, that, or the other thing isn't helping, I'm depressed, whatever it happens to be. So then we try to find a frequency within that person that we have not discovered yet, and then we try and figure out what that frequency number is in order to put it on our AIM program so that all of us have that information, if you will, to help self-heal ourselves of whatever. It might be something that's not always just unique to one person. It's usually pretty unique to a lot of us. Like this morning, I had a young man, he's 19 years old in a car accident, and his parents and family want him on the program, and he's in a coma. And I think, gosh, poor guy, and I'm hoping that there's enough energy or different energies that will help him to self-heal himself so that he can live a great life. He's such a young, vibrant guy, and it's a real unfortunate thing. But we have a lot of wonderful frequencies that are on the AIM program to help us all. So that's kind of, we try to keep everything positive, because positive energy, positive thoughts will bring a positive outcome.
Well, it'd be wonderful if you could get into Bill Finley's, into his stuff and see what you're thinking and see what we can do there. I would really welcome that.
Absolutely, we sure will. And I did check him when I got the email that he was not feeling well, and I did check him then, and I will continue to check him. Sure.
Oh, that would be so wonderful, Roberta.
Absolutely.
My goodness. I just had someone on my show who was a neurologist, and they were talking about Alzheimer's. So, you have discovered a lot of things. Cancer, we talked about that a lot with Stephen and all. Have you ever discovered about Alzheimer's?
Well, that's always been one of the major subjects that we've always worked on, and trying to find frequencies to help someone with Alzheimer's. And I don't know, we don't hear a lot because we don't practice medicine, so we don't always hear what someone has when they come on the program. But I do get a lot of positive comments from participants that are on the program that have had touches with some of these things, like saying that they think they've had the beginnings of, or the doctor thinks they might be heading in that direction, and giving them different things to do to help to ward that off from it getting any more entrenched in them. So I have had a lot of people feel positive results from what we do. I think once, if you can catch it early enough, I think that, like anything else, we have a better chance of self-healing ourselves.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's true. Early is good. But, now that we see some of these terrible crimes being committed by people with mental health, I don't know what we do for those poor souls.
I know. I sometimes wonder, what it is. Is it some people say it's video games. I don't know about that. I don't play video games, so I don't really know if that might be something to ask the neurologist. Does that really change one's outlook on things? Maybe. I don't know. Does it put them in a negative tailspin? But it seems like they're so young and they have so much life ahead of them that's positive. How could life be that bad that they have to resort to something so horrible? But
well, you have all these people who, I don't play video games at all, but every once in a while you see an advertisement for something and it's so violent. And I'm thinking, what is that teaching them?
True. Yeah, I sometimes I see the drivers on the street with me and I'm thinking, gosh, they look like they're playing a video game because they're weaving in and out of traffic. But then there's also some positive things and positive games that one can play. So maybe we need to change the outlook of everyone, and it's a new year, it's 2017. Maybe if we all think more in a positive direction, and maybe some of these video people that make these games maybe find some positive video games to put out there.
Well, everything positive is important. But I think, touching back on what you were saying so if someone contacts you and they have Alzheimer's or they have some disease that's just come, how do you check that so whatever you find that everybody else can then maybe it can be prevented for them? How does that work?
Well, when a person just comes on the program, I'm not checking that. They're coming on the program and they've got to go through all the frequencies that have been added on there if they have them, and they probably have only a few of them. But once they clear all those out, then we can look further. But as far as, say, an existing participant that's been on the program for a while, and maybe they contact their facilitator and they say, hey, I think I'm having trouble with this, that, or the other, maybe memory, maybe something else is, maybe their sugar levels are changing or whatever it happens to be. Then I go in and I check everything in the database. Basically, I'm doing a search to see if there's something that's affecting them that's in the database. But then I'm also checking to see, is there something that's unique in them that I don't have in the database? And that's the most important, because if it's already in the database, it's being sent to them and they have the frequency that they can choose, if they choose to clear that or balance that in themselves and self-heal it. But with a lot of these things that we're talking about, say Alzheimer's, heart disease, diabetes, cancers, there's what we call a layering effect. And unfortunately, there isn't just, or normally not just one frequency that will help. It's usually a combination of quite a few frequencies. And I use myself as that example because when I met Stephen back in 1987, I had had a bad car accident. And my whole family has had bad backs. It's kind of a genetic thing. So my back was really bad for a very long time, and part of it was because of this accident, and then part of it was hereditary. But knock on wood, I cleared all those frequencies out, and my back is pretty much 100%, and I can do just about anything I wish to do. But it did take me a long time to clear out everything because there was different layers, and you just have to keep on clearing those out. It's kind of like climbing a ladder. each step you've cleared out the ones below you, you move up to the next step and you clear that one out, and you just keep on going till you hit the top. And that's kind of where I was, and it took a long time. I'm thinking, it was probably like 15 years, I guess it took me. But technology has changed with our AIM program, so it's gotten a lot more sophisticated. And during the time when I was going through that, I was doing remedies, which were a slower pace than now with the AIM program, which is all frequencies. So it was just a little bit different, too. But we still have that layering effect. So you've got to clear those things out before you get to clear it all out.
So frequencies, that's a very unusual term when you think of it. That and you're really one of the rare people and organizations that even understand frequencies and what's happening, isn't it?
I think we are a little bit unique, but I think it's getting more and more, a lot more common than it was when we first started out. Frequency isn't a scary word anymore, and I think everybody's starting to understand that, we've got acupuncture, which is a movement of energy. We have chiropractic. A lot of people are seeing Reiki masters. So those are all movements of energy beings and people that can help us move negative energy out and help us, correct things that are going on with us. So I think it's moving in a more energetic way, I guess you could say. So we're not the Lone Ranger anymore. We are different, but
that's very interesting that you brought that up. That is true, because years ago, anyone said I'm a Reiki master, they say, "What is that?" Or now acupuncture. A lot of the conservative physicians are bringing in acupuncture, and you're right. That's all finding the energy fields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Reiki, I just met a Reiki practitioner about a month ago, and one of our participants wanted me to meet him because she said, I think you guys have a lot in common. I think, he should see what you do. You should see what he does. And we do. We're very close in what we do. He is a very good fit with us. And I always think, and Steve always told us, just use all your weapons, he used to say. And he said whether it's, acupuncture, chiropractic, maybe you have to go to a physician, whatever it is, praying, writing goal cards, whatever, works for you, do it. And do everything if that's what works, whatever resonates. And this Reiki guy was real interesting, and he didn't touch me at all, but I could feel changes in what he was doing. So it's another tool to have in our toolbox.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there are people who are extra sensitive. They can handle things like that even more than others. I just met someone that says she's a psychic, and I said, well, how do you know? She said, because I've always been a psychic. I always know everything that's going to happen before it happens. So wow. She's also keyed into that electricity or energy or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. And I think we all, in some way, we have that within us, because we all know what's right and wrong within us. What's working and what's not. And sometimes you might be taking a vitamin. This happens to me periodically. I'll be taking vitamins for 5-6 months or whatever, and then all of a sudden I keep forgetting to take them. And I just think it's my body saying, okay, you got enough, you don't need to take them right now. And then sometimes I'll pick back up and start taking them again. So I think a lot of times we all have that information within us. It's just tapping into it and understanding it.
Right. Well, it's always wonderful. I want everyone to know, if you want more information about this, sounds complex. It's simple, but it is complex. But you can get on their website, which is AIM. Isn't it aimprogram.com?
That's it.
So simple, right?
Yes.
aimprogram.com, and you will see things that will amaze you. My husband and I have been on this program for a long time, and I know so many people that are, and it has just been, it's hard to describe. That's all I can tell you. But we've had a lot of famous people who believe in this, because I think it's like electricity. It's out there, but you can't put your finger on it. I'm sure if you touch something, you get electrocuted, but you don't see it. but it's there. So you have to just jump in with believing it, doing everything you can to work with that energy field. We know that space now, when you start talking about what's going on in the outer space, it's all energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's all out there for us to look at. And we need to put the phones down and take a look around us and feel that energy. And we'd be surprised how much better we feel, I think.
That's right. So that's right. So we have just had this discussion about this. So we've been talking with Roberta Hladek, and we've been talking about get off Facebook, get off some of these things, and just be in the real world. Touch your friend, kiss your dog, hug something. Forget all that. You don't have to be up and every moment of the time. Turn off the television. Go on a cruise. Do something nice. Look at the water. I don't know, but look up at the sky. That's the one thing we decided, didn't we, Roberta?
Yes, we did.
Well, it's wonderful talking with you, and I'll keep you up and see what you can see about Bill. I would really appreciate that.
I sure will, and I'll let you know what I find out or what's going on, and if anything changes and you want something checked, give me a call.
Thank you, Roberta. It was wonderful talking with you again.
It was nice talking to you, and Happy New Year.
Yes, the same to you, honey. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.